I have today activated 300 members of the North Carolina National Guard. We have hundreds of North Carolina's Highway Patrol troopers who will monitor major roadways throughout North Carolina to help evacuees. The Department of Transportation has moved resources toward the eastern side of the state to help motorists and patrol the highways. Swift water teams and search and rescue teams are ready to respond if they're needed. Incident management teams made up of emergency managers from non-affected areas will help counties that are affected with emergency operations. If you have not already done so, please make sure that your family is prepared, and please include your pets in your plans. Commercial fishermen should remove all fishing gear from the water before the storm's arrival, and boat owners in coastal areas should secure their boats now. Because this storm is anticipated to pick up speed, time is running out to get ready. So please, stock your emergency kit to support your family and pets for several days. Know what you will do if you have to evacuate with your family. Stay informed and know how to get severe weather alerts. Visit readync.org for helpful checklists so that you can make sure you've done everything you need to do. Preparations that you can make now could save your life later, or lessen the chance that you might need rescue or shelter during a storm. Now I'm going to turn it over to Emergency Management Director Mike Sprayberry to brief us on a few issues.
Thank you, Governor, and good afternoon. As the Governor said, the State Emergency Operations Center is now fully activated at a level 1 with all of our partners. We're on a 24-hour operation right now. We're also having conference calls with the National Hurricane Center each day. Rain, storm surge, and winds will be a significant threat for Hurricane Dorian east of I-95, with the greatest hazards being along our coastline. The greatest impacts will be felt Thursday and Friday, but we can begin to feel the impacts as early as Wednesday. What that means is we need to have all of our preparedness actions completed by Wednesday. That's for everybody. Also, as the Governor stated, we've been working to mobilize and deploy numerous assets. We want to have all of our assets staged and in place prior to the onset of tropical storm force winds. We've activated our sheltering operation for both medical support and general population, and we're prepared to shelter pets as necessary. Disaster contracts for fuel and generators have been approved as well. Food and water push packs are being pushed out to the counties as they request it. The National Guard and search and rescue teams are moving into their final staging positions. Conference calls are being held with our county partners each day. They're meeting with their county control groups to make final decisions on sheltering and evacuations. In closing, let me thank our local partners for everything that they're doing and remind everyone to follow the instructions of their local officials and to maintain situational awareness through their local media. Thank you very much. Thank you, sir.
So we have with us today a FEMA partner. We also have our meteorologist, Katie Webster, our secretary, Eric Hooks of the Department of Public Safety, General Todd Hunt from the North Carolina National Guard, Colonel Glenn McNeil, commander of the North Carolina Highway Patrol, Chief Engineer Tim Little from the North Carolina Department of Transportation, and Monica McGee is our sign language interpreter. We'll be glad to take questions. Sir.
Last year during Hurricane Florence, right?
How about grab the mic there? Thanks.
Last year after Hurricane Florence, Wilmington was essentially cut off by land. I'm wondering if you're making any different preparations this time around, knowing that that's a possibility.
Mike, you want to grab that?
We do know that's a possibility, and I can tell you that DOT's been working on a study to find out what type of mitigation measures that we can take to work on 40 to keep it from being cut off. We've stationed a lot of high water vehicles out in the eastern part of the state, and we're hopeful that we'll be able to negotiate those roads to get into Wilmington. It's still an issue. We're not denying that, but we are addressing it. It just takes a little bit of time, as you might imagine.
Is there any, are you staging any more either equipment or supplies in the Bloomington area?
So what we're doing is we're staging as far forward as we can, but staying out of the storm, the path of the storm, because we don't want to endanger any of our response resources. And so just as soon as the storm passes and upon the request of New Hanover County, we'll surge in there.
Since I've got the mic, one more question. What advice do you have for people who might be poorly housed as a result of Hurricane Florence, either in a trailer or tarps still on their roofs?
This is one of the reasons that we're setting up shelters in local areas. We're also going to have a statewide shelter ready to set up in Durham if need be. We want people to heed evacuation orders. We don't yet know exactly the path of the storm, so we don't know how much damage that wind will bring. We always know, though, that water can be damaged, can be a real problem for our state. I'm going to also have Tim Little with the Department of Transportation to address your issue regarding I-40. We have made we're working on a proposal to mitigate the situation in I-40, but Tim has some details on that.
Yes, as the governor had talked about, we have finalized some of the reporting on our efforts to mitigate I-40, which will be coming out very soon. But also, I just wanted to mention too, US 421, which was cut in two from Florence, that area has been repaired. It has a temporary bridge in place now that we think would hold if we had a similar event. But also, there's a permanent structure that's being built right beside it that should open within the next 2 weeks. In the next couple of days, we're going to try to make every effort we can to have that available in case we need to. But those bridges and the temporary bridge will span that length of the cut that was there during Florence.
Governor, I'm not sure who this question's for, Melissa Oriole. A lot of people out there who are still trying to recover from Florence, and in some cases even from Matthew, are wondering, are we in for the same thing again? I'm wondering what the meteorologist can say in terms of the flooding risks that we're facing at this point, whether we have reason to think it could be as bad or perhaps not.
Well, I'll call on our meteorologist, Katie Webster.
Hey, thank you for that question. So our thinking now is that while we could still see deviations in the track, whether it be eastward or westward, this is a fairly fast-moving storm. And after talking with the Hurricane Center, we have good confidence that that storm will be moving pretty quickly as it crosses our coast. So while we could still see some heavy rain, and where that axis of heavy rain sets up would be highly dependent on the track, I don't think at this point we are anticipating the large amounts of rain that we saw in Hurricane Florence, just based on some upper level features. So right now we're expecting 5 to 10 inches with some locally higher amounts of 15 inches right along the coast, and we'll just watch and see in the coming days where that track deviates.
And one last question, how has, and I talked a little bit today, Director Sprayberry, about this, how has Florence changed how the state is preparing for Dorian?
So some of the things that we've done, I mentioned earlier that we had after-action reports done with our local emergency managers, and we asked for them to critique our performance. We took those critiques and incorporated them into our planning, which was specifically focused, I think, on having more swiftwater rescue assets, which we have subsequently purchased 46 additional swiftwater rescue boats, as well as, most importantly, sheltering. So I think you're seeing that we are activating our shelter operations a lot earlier. We are standing up a medical support shelter earlier, and we want to be in place so that when folks begin to evacuate, that we have some solutions for them and places to go to.
You had mentioned a shelter being set up in Durham. Do you know where that shelter would be set up?
There's a Sears that was shut down. It'll be set up there. Yes, at Northgate.
This is one of the things that we learned from Florence, is that sometimes the local shelters can be overwhelmed when we have hundreds of thousands of people who are evacuating. And we had to figure out the logistics of setting a shelter up at the Friday Center and other places. And so we've learned that we do that early now, and to make sure that we've got a major evacuation center away from the eastern part of the state to handle it, because we know already there's some localities that are beginning mandatory evacuations now. So we know people will be heading west and heading for safer areas. Any other questions? All right, we'll probably give a briefing at some point tomorrow, and we'll let you know. Thank you very much.